Only a handful of races left in this championship, and Adecobo Lopez continues to look strong. But we come to what is, I think, going to be one of the big curveballs of this season. Here in just a couple moments, join us as we kick off round number 8 of the Skip Barber Racing School Championship, live from Brands Hatch. Don't go away. Welcome back here to RaceSpot TV and iRacing Live as coverage begins here of your Skip Barber Racing School Championship live from Brands Hatch. Randy Chinnett, Alvin Yevez, Hugo Louis bringing you all the action here today. Drivers currently out on track putting in their qualifying laps. We do not yet have any times that have come across to get sorted, but everyone is currently either on an out lap or a hot lap at the moment. And Alvin, coming to this track today, we are now pretty solidly into the second half of the season. Only a handful of rounds left after this one.
Second half of the season indeed, but for all these drivers, this is week 8, and that pretty much means this is pretty much the last race for most of the drivers in here today to get the points, because for the next 4 weeks, if you had competed in the previous 7 races plus this one, it is pretty much trying to improve your position, because you are pretty much not trying to get any more points. You are trying to eliminate your worst finishes, and that's gonna start a really interesting game during the last 4 races. But let's leave that for the next 4 weeks. Today it's Brands Hatch.
Those who may be unaware, maybe first time tuning in of what Alvin is talking about, iRacing seasons, there's 4 seasons per year. 12 weeks is what a season consists of, and of those 12, your worst 4 finishes based on points are taken away. So basically from here on out, you can run this race, the next 4 races, you just want to try to improve on all those worst finishes. You want to try to put your best foot forward in that regard. So right now, first round of qualifying times coming through. Francois Beauliane is right now quickest on track with a 0.2 of a second advantage. He looks good. Justin Tipton currently in second, but a notable few names down at the bottom who've yet to turn times. Adecobo Lopez, Greg Seitz, Philippe Lebert. Those 3, Alvin, I think when they come through at the end of their hot laps, I think they're going to be big runners. Going to see them out front. Christian Capenga and Andrew Picario as well.
Certainly, yes. Now Adecobo Lopez is coming into the start-finish line, and let's see what is the time that he can put in. And it looks like perhaps there is the possibility that Adecobo Lopez also got on. Oh, he didn't get an off track. He just finished the lap, and he is in pole position right now with a 1:37.769.
Andrew Picario also, as I said his name, he came across stripe. He's currently 300ths off the back of Adecobo Lopez, so a 7.93 for him. Juan Damas Torres currently sits third at a 38 flat. So a lot of parity right now up and down this field in terms of the qualifying times. As we take a look back over to the points, Adecobo Lopez currently leads the way with 1,607. Andrew Picario is set in second with the 1,382. Greg Seitz, Tom Ward, Tom Hendrickson, they round out the top 5. But I have to say here, Alvin, Precario is the only one in any remote position to be able to chase down Lopez, and I'm not sure he's going to be able to do it.
Well, and as we said that, Philippe Lebert came to the start-finish line, and he is now in pole position with a 1:37.597. Really interesting that Philippe Lebert is in here today. He is already qualified for the one race shootout for the 3-day skip Barber. So I think for Philippe Lebert is pretty much trying to scout out the competition. We already know that he is going there. Perhaps Araiko Lopez towards the end of the season, he is going as well. So for Philippe, this is pretty much trying to scout the competition and perhaps trying to play a little bit of psychological games with Araiko Lopez.
Yeah, it's not really that bad of a strategy at all if you're Philippe Lebert. He had won, of course, that opening championship a couple seasons ago. So for him, we didn't really see him much last season. We haven't seen him much this season, but he does occasionally come out. He does occasionally run, and he still is and always has been very, very competitive in this championship and in this car. 1 minute left of qualifying, still waiting for that last couple of runners to come through. Fahim Antonitis is someone who has not put in a lap, and he's actually still sat down on pit road, so it doesn't look like he is going to be taking a qualifying attempt here today. A couple other drivers, of course, will have the potentially running their second of 2 laps as they can do here today. But besides that, everyone is pretty much done qualified. Everyone pretty much sorted. So we have the grid more or less set. A couple drivers out there though. Tuan Tron, his laps are done. I actually don't think we have anyone on laps right now, so just basically waiting. And you know what? Let's use this time to our advantage. Hugo, cue the music. Let's go down your starting grid here for round number 8, live from Brands Hatch. So Philippe Lebert takes pole with a 37.597. Ade Coba Lopez 0.2 of a second off. Philippe Lebert making a huge statement if his idea here is to sort of be scouting out the field. Andrew Precario is 3rd, Greg Sykes 4th, and Juan Dalmas Torres rounds out your top 5 as the session advances and probably breaks our overlay. Tuan Tron sits in the 6th spot with Francois Bollier 7th, Justin Tipton 8th, Daniel Cabanillas 9th, and Christian Fuchs rounds up the top 10. El Leroy Coppage sits 11th with Katrin Kapanga 12th. Adam Blocker 13th. Gordon Ramsay 14th. The steak he cooked up last week, a little bit raw. Let's see if he can get a nice, crisp, juicy, medium rare here today from Brands Hatch. Mike McCormick sits in the 15th spot. Carl Dronke 16th. Daniel Forgarini 17th. And Fahim Antonitis, after not taking a qualifying time, will round out the 18-car field here today. Alvin, this is going to be an interesting circuit. Brands Hatch, not typically known for its long straights and its drafting, but in these little skip Barber cars, slipstream is always a factor.
It'll be interesting indeed, and one of the, I think the corner that I'm putting the most attention in, it's the first one, Paddock Hill Bend, because this one, it kind of leads through the sweeping front straight, but then trying to brake, it's really important to try to get your braking points as best as you can, because if you get it wrong, you go off track, and then trying to get back on track, you are going to lose a lot of time.
So with that said, currently waiting on a couple drivers to hit the grid, and then once that happens, we will be going green here. Within the next 40 seconds, these drivers have time to get themselves onto the starting grid. So a lot of big question marks here today. Philippe Lebert, he's 0.2 up in qualifying. That's one of the biggest advantages we've seen in a long while in this series. Ade Coba Lopez, 0.2 off, not something we're used to seeing at all. Precario, very close to that number 1 machine. Greg Seitz, not far off either. And it's a total of about half a second that separates your top 5 qualifiers. What can Tuan Tron do? Francois Bollier, all the big hitters as the res begin to build. And we go green here, live from Brands Hatch, the classic circuit here in the UK that used to host Formula 1. And Ade Coba Lopez gets defensive. Precario wants to look to sweep through the outside here at Paddock Hill Bend. He'll get a good run here down through turn number 1. And will it be the classic move up into Druids for Precario? No. Everyone pretty much flat out through that first corner due to the short run in these little skip Barber cars. And everyone trying to get single file here as they go behind the trees and then exit back out on the run down into Graham Hill Bend. Couple drivers off on the left in the grass. That was Leroy Coppage, who was off as they worked themselves through the left-hander, and now on the run into the tight left on that, I would say long, not really back straight Alvin, but down this middle straightaway down to the tight right-hander.
We can pretty much kind of label this the back straight of the track here coming out of Surtees, and now this is the long run. You go uphill and now you start going downhill really fast, and Ade Coba Lopez, he seems to get a good run, but now let's see if Philippe Lebert can kind of blocked. Yeah, he left the door a little bit open going into Halton Bend, but Felipe Leber still in front of the race.
A lot of close fighting happening already. Felipe Leber currently still has Ade Cobo Lopez right up his tailpipe, so that 0.2 of a second advantage not being too obvious here on this opening lap. Not a breakaway at all, and it's still up and down the field. Not a lot of breakaways whatsoever. We do get a little bit of one between Justin Tipton and Daniel Cabanillas, and then between Cabanillas and Capanga, a little bit of breakaway there, but for the most part, everyone runs in line. Top three come into the final corner, and Felipe Leber looks to be set to lead lap number 1 here. Slipstream not coming into too much of an effect just yet, but lap number 1 here, Alvin, especially the front runners, they've proven to be very, very patient in this series week in and week out. It's usually, with this being a 14-lap race, I think the fight for the lead is going to heat up right now as Ade Cobo Lopez looks to the inside through Paddock Hill Bend. Felipe Leber makes that mistake and going up into Druids. Ade Cobo Lopez going to make that move behind the tree, and as he comes out on the run down into Graham Hill Bend, he just about has the line, but no, not quite. Fantastic run for Leber on the run down into Grand Hill Bell. Now into Surtees, they're going to come in Precario. He looks keen to get this second spot on the run here into this tight left-hander. Really basically hairpin. Precario wants to lead. In fact, very tight corner uphill, very awkward trying to get on the throttle, and Leber's going to have an awesome run here down this middle straightaway on the run to Hawthorne's Bend. So Felipe Leber trying to fight for the race lead. Ade Cobo Lopez wants to get that second spot as well from Andy Precario, who on the outside of Hawthorne's Bend will just about be able to slot himself into the second spot. So Alvin, right when I think things are going to get boring, they don't. They're still side by side through second here through Westfield, which is very, very dangerous place to race.
And this is pretty much this is gonna be the race itself. If you make a mistake, it's pretty much going to be the cars behind you are gonna get a run, and as we saw, you can go side by side pretty much throughout the whole racetrack, and these drivers, they don't seem that they want to give up. We already have a couple of casualties up in lap number 1, Mike McCormick and Daniele Forgerini, a little bit of contact, unfortunately, for both of them.
Unfortunate for them indeed, and Andy Precario made an ill-advised move going through the final corner at Clark Curve, and he's now fighting with Ade Cobo Lopez for second on the run down into Paddock Hill Bend. Ade Cobo Lopez wants to make it 3 wide into the first corner. Felipe Leber going to be set back to the middle of the racetrack, and again, he wants to take the fight to your race leader on the run up into Druids, up Hillwood Hill and on the braking zone already into the tight right-hander. We also have some contact in the back car off the track. That's Daniel Forgerini, and he's still, though, the fight for the race lead. Ade Cobo Lopez and Felipe Leber. Leber again holds on to that position, and now Lopez trying to work the cutback on the run into Surtees, exiting Graham Hill Bend, and he's got the inside line. So on the outside is going to be Felipe Leber. Ade Cobo Lopez very, very loose as they work themselves down Hawthorne Hill straightaway once again, and again Felipe Leber gets the run on the outside line, and now here comes Andy Precario 3 wide at Brands Hatch. Is almost unheard of, and especially in the opening 3 laps. Precario is going to nose ahead in the lead for now, and he's going to solidify his spot. He's actually going to take the race lead, and he's going to hang strong on the outside. Fantastic power move from Precario, 3rd to 1st this lap.
That was a fantastic move indeed. Now, going into Surtees, here is the big problem with Surtees. If you are on the inside, you are gonna at a disadvantage because Surtees, it's so long and sweeping that being on the outside, it's really not a disadvantage. On the contrary, it is an advantage because you can get a good run, but that also allowed Andrew Precario to also get a good run on Ade Cobo Lopez and Felipe Leber, and now he is leading the race.
And you have to be decisive at this racetrack, and that's exactly what Precario did. He showed early that it was his intent to make a move somewhere. He tried it a couple times. That last lap didn't work, but that time through, he got the job done. And now Felipe Leber currently holds on to that second spot. But again, he's weak through that first corner. That's where he's given up time the last couple times to Lopez and Precario as well. Everyone runs that a little bit wide, except that third on the left-hand side, exiting Paddock Hill Bend. We got one car way wide at Druid. That's Francois Bullion fighting for 6th. He's got Christoph Hoots in that little fight as well. I think there may have been a little bit of contact. Regardless, he missed that apex, he got pushed wide. And here, Alvin, we're seeing for the first time someone really try to stretch a gap and doing a good job of it. This is the largest margin first to second we've seen now that Precario is out in front.
And I think this is not really gonna last that long. I think Andrew Precario, he really has to enjoy this advantage while it lasts, because I doubt that Felipe Leber is really gonna get is gonna let this go, and he definitely has closed the gap. Areco Lopez running in third place. I think he is running kind of comfortable right now, not looking to make any moves yet.
Top 5 though, breaking away from the rest of the pack as they run Precario, Liber, Lopez, Seitz, Torres. Torres doing a very good job to hang with these guys. He's, qualified that 5th spot, maybe a little bit lower on the iRating chain, but then again, he's only 1 number slot lower than Andy Precario, who currently leads this race as they work themselves out of Sterling's on the run up into clearways. And Felipe Bear, absolutely right, Alvin, is sucked right back up to the back of Precario, and Liber looked keen to sweep around the outside, but Precario just took that line away from him directly, and because of that, cost the number 3 machine a little bit of momentum, and now Precario maintains that race lead. Lopez wants that 2nd spot, looks to the outside here at Paddock Hill Bend. He wants to try to make that move, but no, not going to happen this time. He's been able to move Felipe Bear pretty much at will, Alvin, on that run into corner number 1, but that time, Bear not allowing the number 1 machine around the outside.
And I think Areco Lopez, he does have the confidence to launch that car on the inside of Paddock Hill Bend, but Felipe Bear, knowing that, he blocked the inside. He knew that if he lets the inside open, Areco Lopez will go for it. And like I said, it takes a lot of confidence to get that car turning into turn number 1, because the slightest mistake, you are going off track and then trying to come back on track with this quality of field here today, it's gonna be really hard.
Fight for the race lead is on. Felipe Bear wants that move on the inside here down into Hawthorne's Bend, and I think he's going to get it done. Andy Precario nowhere near alongside, but he's going to work the cutback on the run here down to Westfield Bend. Very difficult move to pull off. Very difficult place to race here on this part of the racetrack, like we said earlier, but Precario's going to do it, and Bear pushes himself off wide. That's going to allow Lopez to get himself into the mix, and Lopez looks to the inside of Precario as they go running up through Dingledale up towards Sheen Curve. Going to be side by side on the short shoot into Sterling's. Precario has the preferred line, and now the 2 teammates are stacked up in 3rd and 4th. Precario will maintain the race lead for now, but Lopez will have the momentum from that long run on the outside of Sterling's on the run down into clearways. Here they come side by side through Clark Curve. The outside line might just prevail here, but it's a shorter run through this curved front straightaway, so Lopez is actually going to nose ahead and lead this lap here on lap number 5 of 14. Felipe Bear looking for any opening to step through. There isn't one, and Lopez into corner number 1 on the 6th lap is going to have the race lead, and Precario gets a little bit of a gap in 2nd, but no, Liber wants to try to fight for that 2nd spot, side by side for 2nd, side by side for 3rd. Liber not going to be close enough, and the 10 machine of Precario should have a run down the hill, but no, Liber has been phenomenal on the exit of Druids here all day, Alvin, and now on the run into Surtees, he looks keen to take that 3rd spot, or 2nd spot.
Yeah. Well, going into the inside, but like I said, I think he is at a disadvantage. Well, I will say he was at a disadvantage, but he got deep possession. But I think Andrew Precario, perhaps he got a better run, and this is something that I think this is going to be pretty much the whole race. But maybe Felipe Bear, he knows that he is in for the shootout, and he wants season 2, so perhaps he's trying to instill a little bit of a psychological advantage. That said, Andrew Precario and Areco Lopez not letting that get to their head.
And again, or are they, as Areco Lopez has done a fantastic job to stretch out a bit of a gap here. It was roughly even when they came across the stripe, but because of the side-by-side battling for 2nd, that gap has opened up to a few tenths of a second here from Lopez to Liber. We said earlier that Precario had a bit of a margin. It's now even larger in favor for Areco Lopez, and one of the things they need to be worried about here, Alvin, Areco Lopez has himself a margin, and Liber is, once again, we saw this a couple weeks ago, he's just on the brink of having that slipstream. If he makes one mistake, or if he loses a couple tenths to Lopez, I think he's going to be out of that draft range, and even where he's at, it's going to be real difficult and likely a 3 to 4 lap fight to reel that gap back down and in.
And this could be the crucial point of the race. If Felipe Bear lets Areco Lopez drive away, this is pretty much gonna be race over. See you later, and Areco Lopez is gonna win the race. That said, Felipe Bear gets a good run here out of Druids, pretty much nailing this corner all day long, and that has allowed to close the advantage here again. And perhaps with all this fighting, that also allowed the secondary group to also close the gap to the lead group. So this is pretty much now a 9-car train.
On the shorter line through Surtees, Jacobo Lopez, much later entry, but he gets a better exit. Felipe Bear, that slightly shorter line, sucks right up to the back of Jacobo Lopez. When I said might take 3 to 4 laps, will take 3 to 4 corners as they go now into Hawthorne's Bend. Felipe Bear doesn't look keen on making a fight for the race lead right now, but they're 2x2 in the back. Christoph Fuchs fighting with John Torres as well as Justin Tipton, and they're going to be side by side behind for 6 as Torres has to deal with Tipton on the run into Westfield Bend, and now they work themselves through Dingle Dell and on the run towards Sheen Curve. They get themselves back single file, which is very, very wise here amongst this front group. But now it really is sort of all eyes on Andrew Picario. Here, Alvin and Felipe Bear, big mistake through Sterling's, all sorts of oversteers. This is going to reopen up the gap to Jacobo Lopez, and Andrew Picario should get the move done here on LeBaire, but that little hiccup is going to give that race leader in that number 1 machine a lot of time, Alvin, and I actually don't think this is wise by LeBaire. He's trying to fight for the second spot, tooth and nail with Andrew Picario. I think he would have been better off letting Picario go, slotting himself in the 3rd spot, and hoping Picario could get into draft range. Now what he's done, him and Picario are just going to fight tooth and nail for this second spot, and Lopez, if he doesn't make a mistake, he's going to run away with this race as we're now in the second half.
And I definitely have to agree with you right there, Randy. Felipe Bear definitely doing no favors to Andrew Picario and to himself if he wanted to win this race. That said, I thought that Paddock Hill Bend was going to be the turn to watch, but I also kind of forgot about Sterling's Bend, because that turn, yeah, it has a little bit of camber, but you also have to get it absolutely right, because the slightest wrong that you get on that track, well, we saw what happened to Felipe Bear, and it could happen to anybody else.
Sterling's really is sort of the closeted, like, hardest, most tricky corner on this track, is the 10 and the 3 continue to fight for that second spot. Picario on the outside. LeBaire's led him around the outside once there today. He's not about to do it again. But Sterling's Bend, the entry is a little bit tricky. That curb on the right-hand side, entering the corner can get the car upset. If you clip the apex curb wrong, you can get the car upset. And if you put that curb on the exit tracking out a little bit wrong, you just high center the car on it. It can't be very nice as well. The 10 and 3 on the run into Sterling's, here they come. They're going to fight, and actually the 10 machine Picario, well done, closing that gap down. Jacobo Lopez now out to about a 1.5 second advantage. If Picario works the slipstream on LeBaire, not going to make a move just yet. And it is one thing to keep in mind, that if you're Andrew Picario, you are sandwiched by teammates. Felipe Bear and Greg Seitz, they run 2nd and 4th, running under the same banner. But now Picario will get a big run, and if he doesn't go for it, Seitz will on the left side, and that's exactly what happens. But no, Seitz is going to lift out of it, but the 3 machine loose again. We've come to see this from LeBaire many a times. One of the one things that can let him down is he likes a very loose race car. He's not quite able to hold on to it. He keeps it rolling forward, fighting though, still for this second spot, and through the corner where he's been absolutely picture perfect, but Picario is going to keep him honest. But if you can have the outside run good through Truant, you can have the run down into Graham Hill Bend. But the 10 machine of Picario does the same thing through Graham Hill, move Picario up into the second spot, and now LeBaire has to keep an eye on his teammate as well as the runner of Christoph Fuchs in 5th.
And all this fighting that has allowed Jacobo Lopez to open I'm gonna say a massive 2.8 second lead over this group here. So I think Jacobo Lopez, he is getting what he was looking for. That bit of lady luck that perhaps he was missing throughout the season, although winning, I think he is getting it right now.
Now for Andrew Picario, you have to be careful. The leader in the points leads this race 2.5 seconds up the road. There is almost no way, if you're Andrew Picario, that you are going to reel in Jacobo Lopez. You want to try to minimize the damage by letting him win this race by finishing in the second spot, but you have a very aggressive and very keen and driving a very loose race car, Felipe Bear behind you. Felipe works the slipstream up into clearways, looks to the left-hand side, going to try to work a bit of a cutback, and he actually slots himself on the outside very well. Wheel to wheel as they come down the front straightaway. Picario might have a slight advantage due to the shorter nature of the inside line down this front straight, but LeBaire still has a big head of steam. 5 laps to go here on lap number 10, and again, LeBaire all sorts of sideways here through Paddock Hill Bend, and that's one of the things to keep an eye. The 2 machine of Greg Seitz, big head of steam, going to be 3 wide into Druids. No, they're going to stay 2 wide, and Greg Seitz will wisely slot in behind, and Felipe Bear will work the outside run. He's pretty much copyrighted this today. The only driver we've seen be that strong on that outside groove. And this is what I was talking about here, Alvin. Precario, he finds himself in third, still fighting with Philippe Lebert, though, on the run up into Surtees. And I think we're going to see Lebert get a slight advantage based on the longer run, the big head of steam he's going to get. But now for your Precario, if you're trying to conserve points, you have the entire field almost stacked up behind you, all the way back to Tron, who currently sits 10th. You're now locked into a 9-car battle here as they run down into Hawthorne's Bend. And as I predicted, Lebert has that spot, but no, Precario doing his best to fight back, and Seitz is still trying to slot himself inside as well.
And I have to say, usually the outside turn on most of the tracks is really not the preferred line, but Philippe Lebert has been able to make it work, not only on Druids, but also on Surtees. So Philippe Lebert definitely, although he has a loose car, definitely he has been able to make that outside line work, definitely to his advantage for sure.
That's one thing you need to think about if you're Andrew Precario. You've seen what Philippe Lebert has been able to do all day today, working through that first corner and up into Druids, having that outside line. These cars are narrow enough, light enough, have just enough torque and power that if you can get on the throttle on that outside line, you can get a good run down into Graham Hill Bend. So if you're Andrew Precario, normally, Alvin, in these cars, you're thinking, I want the inside, I want the inside. But Philippe Lebert, I think Philippe Lebert of these top runners has been the absolute worst through turn number 1 all day long, but he's so good through turn number 2 that no one on this field can take advantage of it. They slot up the inside. Philippe Lebert, he basically just gets his centrifugal force, puts his foot down, and he just picks the spot back up as they go running down into Graham Hill Bend.
And I think that's pretty much the key to the setup for Philippe Lebert in here today. Yes, his car may be loose, but he has been able to make it on the outside all race long whenever he has been involved in a battle. That said, well, speaking of battles, we also have to speak about we are on board car number 2 right now, I think.
Yeah, it's a hard fight here for that second spot as Alvin loses his train of thought as Greg Seitz trying to pick up any spots, but Torres and Fuchs fighting side by side, still staying on board that 2 machine of Greg Seitz. Gordon Ramsay, he's currently trying to turn up the heat, but not so hot as to make his steak well done and dry it out here as he fights with Greg Seitz and Juan Dalmas Torres, but Torres looks up the inside of Christoph Fuchs, not able to get that job done though, as the race leaders now working themselves through the final corner to start lap number 12 of 14. So it's going to be 3 laps to go here at the line, and there's a couple keen fights we need to keep an eye on. Lebert versus Precario. Those two have separated themselves from the rest of the field, Alvin, and then it's a huge train of cars from 5th basically back to about 12th or 13th here in this one. Everyone's still tossing their hat in the ring for a good finish tonight.
Tossing it for a good finish indeed, and this battle for being number 2 definitely not over. Philippe Lebert going into Druids right now. That's been absolutely a great corner for him today. But with all these battles that we are having right now, we gotta give it to Arecoa Lopez. He was able to get the lead, stay away from any fight and from any unnecessary fights, and right now he is pretty much 5 seconds ahead. Yes, the gap has kind of stabilized, so I think Arecoa Lopez, he pretty much knows that he has the race on his pocket. It's just a matter of getting to the checker flag.
And I think you're right. He's out there with a 5-second margin over the rest of the field right now. He's basically just out there like, lol, thanks, looking in the mirror, looking at the way those guys are fighting. Top 3, though, not fighting too hard. First fight between Torres and Fuchs into Hawthorne's Bend, and it's going to be Fuchs who reigns supreme, but now Torres will have his hands full of just not able to break free, and because of that, he's lost so much time and ground to those guys up front.
Yeah, definitely a fantastic slide there from Philippe Lebert into Dingledale corner. He was pretty much 4-wheel drifting that car, so pretty much he has a loose setup indeed, but so far he is making it work.
Reese is seeing that as Greg Seitz, he gets away, and now the fight's going to be on for the 6th spot between Torres and Ramsey. Can Ramsey get himself up into a top 5 or so position here as he fights while Jan Damaris Torres, 2 laps to go at the stripe on the run down into Paddock Hill Bend, and Ramsey's going to try to work the cutback, but he hits that curb at the apex, but still gets the foot down. Torres into the dirt on the outside. This is going to bring Ramsey up alongside the inside groove. Tron tries to toss his hat into the ring as well, and Gordon Ramsay cuts off the outside run. Brilliantly done there by Gordon Ramsay, and Alvin, that's why he has so many Michelin stars.
Definitely indeed. I think I think we can add a 4th Michelin star for that matter. Gordon Ramsay absolutely threw that car going into Druids. Like, he owned that corner and he pretty much made it work, and he's now running in P number 6. I think he may have a chance to catch Greg Size, but he really has to put the foot down.
4 Michelin stars, 4 tires on a race car, Half-Life 4 confirmed as your race leaders continue to fight for that second spot. Lebert and Precario. Precario had the outside through the right-hander at Westfield, didn't get it done, but he has a big head of momentum through Dingledale and up the run into Sheen Curve. Can that 10 machine of Precario make anything happen through Sheen? No, he can't. Now they come into Sterling. Still, he looks so strong throughout the entire lap over Lebert, but Philippe able to just stretch that gap in the few key corners it counts. White flag though, Alvin, this time by. Precario has to find something right now.
Definitely have to find something, but as Areca Lopez crosses the line to start the last lap of the race, but we focus on the battle here on P number 2, Felipe Lebert and Andrew Precario. Andrew Precario trying to look on the outside here on Paddock Hill End. This corner has been the weak spot for Felipe Lebert all day long, but he seems to kind of have a little bit of luck there coming out of Paddock Hill Bend, now coming into Druids. This is the part that Felipe Lebert has been really strong. Slides the car just a little bit, and that allows Andrew Precario to close the gap just a little bit, but Felipe Lebert got a better exit.
So Felipe Lebert still trying to maintain that gap to Precario, and this is going to be one of the stressful parts of the racetrack, coming up into Surtees and onto this long run down into Hawthorne's Bend. This has been one of the prime opportunities to make moves, the longest straightaway on the racetrack, so you're going to get the most effect out of the slipstream right here, right now. Felipe Lebert defends the inside line, and Precario is going to look to take that momentum and swing to the left. He wants to try to get to the outside groove. Lebert trying to push him wide, but I think he may have given it up too much speed as Precario is going to take that spot away from Felipe Lebert. A little bit too much defensive on the inside, and Precario now has clean track behind him. They're still fighting this huge gaggle as well from P6 on back. We're going to try to keep an eye on both fights as this big train works themselves now through Westfield Bend and up the run down through Dingledale and up into Sheen Curve. They're almost going to be 2 by 2 as they work themselves to the right-hander. Gordon Ramsay all sorts of sideways. This is going to bring Torres back into the mix. Top 2 though, they're going to come down this last final straightaway before the run into clearways, and Precario is cleared, so we're going to keep an eye on this big gaggle. Gordon Ramsay trying to defend from Torres. Tron looks to the far left side, makes it side by side with Torres through Clark Curve and off the final corner. It's going to be Ramsay who leads this group to the line as Adecobo Lopez takes away another win here in this championship. Alvin, he's been so good all year long.
This was pretty much the race that Areca Lopez really needed to cement his position here in season number 4. And I think, yeah, with this being the 8th race that he has raced, I think it's gonna be really hard for anybody trying to overtake him in this championship. So I think we can kind of chalk it up to Areca Lopez being the season 4 champion. Yes, there's still 4 races to go. There's still some drop races that all the drivers have, but I think we can kind of see how this one race shootout it's starting to shape up. We know that Johnny Guindy, Felipe Lebert are gonna be there, and I think Areca Lopez will be the first person joining the party.
So with that, let's go down your post-race results here from round number 8, live from Brands Hatch. Adecobo Lopez takes a dominating performance today. It was close to the first half of the race, but hard fighting for second on back opened up a 5-second margin of victory for Adecobo Lopez. Andrew Precario did a fantastic job being patient on that second lap, takes that second spot from Felipe Lebert, and there was nothing Lebert could do after that. He will finish in 3rd. Christoph Fuchs will be 4th, and Greg Seitz will round out your top 5. Gordon Ramsay had all the ingredients to make this a good race today, and he cooked it up to perfection. He finished at P6. Net 8-spot position gain from where he started today. Juan Torres will finish 7th, Tron 8th, Justin Tipton 9th, and Francois Bullion will round out the top 10. The He-Man Tonightas will finish 11th, Daniel Cabanillas 12th, Leroy Coppage 13th, Carl Dronke 14th, Adam Blocker 15th, Christian Campagna 16th, Mike McCormick 17th, and Daniel Forgarini will round out the 18-car field today. If you're not done watching iRacing content here just yet, don't go away because we have another fun one coming up. Raven Graphics and eSpeed Contender Series. We just saw them finish the regular season last week. The chase is set. However, before we get to the first round of the chase, we're going to have the Raven Graphics All-Star race here in just, the eSpeed All-Star race here in just a few moments' time. But From Randy Chineth, Alvin Nieves, Hugo Louis, everyone else at RaceSpot. Join us in a few moments time for that, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.